It's almost like resuming from committee stage, and didn't do too well on these amendments at committee stage, so we'll try again here this evening. And just start with just a couple of general points, and at the risk of repeating myself, I think the context in which these amendments have been made in the names of Deputy Broome and myself and Deputy Wallace and Deputy Daly and Deputy Pringle, it's in the context of animal welfare. And notwithstanding those greyhound owners who do look after the dogs, including those who are no longer of use and no longer making money, prize money, the reality is that we have too many examples of appalling cruelty to greyhounds. And the Animal Welfare Bill didn't address that for various reasons. So here's an opportunity now with this Greyhound Bill to really come to grips with those examples of cruelty to our greyhounds that we know about, and to do what we can through this bill in order to address that. You know, I mentioned at committee stage that it's great there's a ban on the use of wild animals for entertainment purposes, so why do we not have the ban on greyhounds for the entertainment purposes that they are fulfilling out in the Macaus and the Pakistans and the Chinas, etc. And very sadly, it wasn't the greyhound industry in Ireland who highlighted or tried to address these abuses. No, it was the animal welfare groups. And they were highlighting for us that there are no animal welfare guidelines, no regulations regarding animal welfare in those countries, but yet we are allowing our greyhounds to be exported to those places. And we have the proof of it. We're not talking pie in the sky about these particular issues. We know the number of Irish greyhound breeders recurring on a Chinese database. We know the copies of stud books that are uploaded showing greyhounds previously registered to race in Ireland, but presently they are advertised as breeding material for China. They are the facts. So we know our greyhounds are going to those countries. There are details of 41 Irish greyhounds who have been uploaded to this Chinese site. There are greyhounds that nobody wants here in Ireland anymore, but the animal welfare people will take them in. We know that these greyhounds are facing extreme cruelty in those countries, and I have met some of them when they're brought back here, and it's really an appalling scandal that there are welfare groups from Britain who are rescuing those greyhounds. They don't want to bring them back to Ireland because treatment of greyhounds in Ireland, and I think that's even as much of a scandal. And while the vast majority of Irish dogs go to the UK, and the trade is with the EU and it's covered by EU regulations, we know that there are countries in the EU that are being used as transit countries. Now, if we look at the amendments 1, 5, 6, 7 and 8, the common denominator in them is welfare. You know, and I'm tired of hearing how much people love animals, but when they have an opportunity to do something about it, they're not taking that opportunity. And this is an opportunity. Because if we don't take the opportunity, if we don't proceed with the amendments, what we're doing is we are consigning Irish greyhounds, when they're no longer of use, they're no longer making money, to be exported to countries where they're going to suffer horrifically. And we know that. We're only talking about a limited number of owners, but they are notorious because the majority of owners do look after their greyhounds. But the reality is that we're doing nothing with those greyhound owners who knowingly export their greyhounds to countries where they know that the greyhounds are going to be treated appallingly. Another reality is that the attendance at greyhound events is falling, which means there's an impact on funding. So it is likely that we may see more of this exporting. Looking at amendment number 5, you know, it's looking at a list outside the EU. It's just talking about meeting minimum standards where Irish greyhounds can be exported. That would require a number of researchers who could look into the countries that we know about the extent of the lack of animal welfare there, and it would be very easy to put together a list that shows those countries, because they just have to check what the situation is there, and I'm sure that that is very obvious for everyone to see, that there are no enforceable welfare protection there. Looking at the next one, number 6, greyhound owners who do export, that when they are convicted, there will be fines and imprisonment. But they'll never get to be convicted unless we accept some amendments that can go after these greyhound owners and that we can get them. And, you know, and finally in Ireland, you know, it took a long time that we are seeing people being punished with fines and imprisonment for horrific abuse and mistreatment of animals here. But we're not accepting that this goes on to our animals in other countries where we knowingly send them. And the amendment is just saying that the abuse and...
Adjournment of the debate.
I move the adjournment. Thank you.